Hey everyone, I wanted to give you a quick tip on resolution and refresh rate and how those factor in when working with an interactive flat panel like an Avocor. So across the board, all Avocor panels can support up to 4K resolution, how crisp that image is, and 60 hertz refresh rate. So the refresh rate means how many times per second the screen refreshes. So at 60 hertz, it refreshes 60 times a second. And that's really important when you're working with tools like whiteboarding, right? The moment I touch my pen to the screen, I want to see that ink, right? I don't want there to be any latency involved with that. Whether it's inking or touching or any kind of interactivity, right? The human eye is not going to detect any latency at 60 hertz. But just because the Avocor panel can support 4K 60 hertz doesn't necessarily mean the PC attached to our panel can also meet those standards. And there's a couple different ways you can check that. So on my Windows desktop, I'm going to right click and tap on display settings. And I'm going to see my recommended display resolution is 3840 by 2160, 4K. That's where I want to be. If I go down a little bit here, I'll see advanced display settings, and this is where we can see the refresh rate. And you can see, I hit this little drop-down menu, I'm at 60 hertz, that's where I want to be, right? So you should definitely check this, and you can get a little bit more in-depth look at it by checking display adapter properties for display one, list all modes, and I can see a list of what I'm running. So you might be running at 30 hertz, but you could check this menu and bump up to 60 hertz, depending on the PC and the cables being used. So certainly check this when you connect your device to our panel. Now, when it comes to if, maybe you're not going to have 4K 60 hertz available to you, but maybe you have some other options. 4K 60 hertz, that's where you want to be if you can get there. But if you had a choice between these two, 1080p at 60 hertz and 4K at 30 hertz, go with 1080p at 60 hertz because refresh rate, the actual latency, that's the more important factor when it comes to interacting with a screen like this. And finally, if you have to, do 4K 30 or 1080p at 30. And cabling is also important. It's not just the display adapter, it's also the cables being used. Try to leverage DisplayPort if you can over HDMI because you typically get a faster rate with DisplayPort. One other thing you can check after connecting a device to our panel, I'm going to zoom in for just a second here. You can open up the on-screen display on our panel with the Avocor remote and go down to information. And it'll show you there, that top line there, that it's the handshake between the PC and my panel. So it knows I'm using a DisplayPort cable and I'm running at 4K at 60 hertz. And that's another way to check it very quickly. But definitely check those PC settings if you're not sure. That's what we wanted to show you today. Thanks for watching.